Leanne and I get together every Wednesday night for On the Move. We take your calls and your comments and questions there in the chat. We talk recruiting in the transfer portal when it's that time of year. Our update comes your way live every Wednesday at 8:30 Eastern. Join Leanne on Twitter and X, and you can follow all of her work from there. Well, if Texas A&M is not sitting still, of course, Texas is going to be in the mix as well, trying to keep up and bringing in guys like Kaydon Finley this weekend.
Well, Kaydon Finley is a guy that, of course, he's a legacy. And when you're a legacy recruit of any program, it's 50-50. Either you're in or you're out, because either a kid wants to follow in their parents' footsteps, keep that legacy going, keep that family name going, or similar to like Arch Manning, I want to make my own path. I want to make my own thing. So it's never a slam dunk with a legacy recruit. Even though the ties, a relationship, of course, it helps that these are kids that have grown up around the program. They see their father, there, or they see their mother who's competed at that university. So again, there's that nostalgia. But going back to Dia Bell, again, I say a lot of the times, when these commits, verbally commit to their future programs, not only do they verbally commit, but they also become top recruiters. And Dia Bell has really been at the forefront of helping with Kaydon Finley's recruitment. Of course, Alito, Texas, producing a lot of top talent when it comes to the wide receiver and running back position. Of course, right there we see his rankings, his composite scores. But again, this will be an interesting pool to see if Kaydon Finley will live in the legacy of being a Longhorn, and the Longhorns are able to use that along with Dia Bell pushing, come connect with me, come make Texas great again. I don't know how many times they've exhausted that saying, but again, it might be a while before there is a Kaydon Finley Dia Bell combination, but nonetheless, he's been at the forefront of the recruiting cycle. Kaydon Finley has been a priority for the Longhorn staff. They've made sure to have, but again, this is going to be a battle for him with none other than Notre Dame. And we've seen how hot the Irish have been on the recruiting trail lately. Definitely, not just targeting regional area talent, but definitely going out to different areas, filling the void, filling the need. Marcus Freeman and that staff have done an excellent job really picking up the pace. So it's going to be another down the stretch recruitment, but that this will be a visit to watch, come this weekend. But again, the Longhorns, Steve Sarkisian, Dia Bell, everybody is working day and night to make sure that they can keep the Finley legacy going in that burnt orange, and not it change over to South Bend and the luck of the Irish. But I really think in this one, that for me, and I know Texas fans probably don't want to hear this, I feel like Notre Dame has really set the tone, really set the place down the long haul, really creating opportunity to Finley to write his own story. And I really like where Notre Dame stands after the last couple times that Finley has down there. Again, a lot can happen, a lot will happen, but Texas, again, much like Texas A&M, using this weekend to really, you know, lay it on thick and close the deal. This is not about selling the program from the jump. These kids have already been here on unofficials and so forth. And a kid like Kaydon Finley, has grown up in the program. He knows exactly what it is to bleed burnt orange. So this is a kid that's not unfamiliar to what Texas can do. The question is, does he want to continue his legacy, or does he want to write his own story, and perhaps under Marcus Freeman and the new rejuvenation that's gone on down in South Bend and Notre Dame? But again, I like where the Irish stand in this one. But anything could change. But Texley definitely going to try to close the deal this weekend and really push to get this legacy commitment.
Well, speaking of burnt orange, it seems as though every time we get a super chat in burnt orange, it's from our buddy Adam showing up with this one. What do we got from Adam? The Washington Huskies are the Monica Lewinsky of college football. Wow. Okay. I don't know that I want to keep reading this. A brief moment of glory and then nothing. Okay. Well, Adam, I'm not going to debate you on the prominence and relevance of the Washington Huskies, and I surely am not going to debate with you on Monica Lewinsky, but Washington's maybe had a better football history and tradition than you would give them credit for as a USC guy. But Adam, thank you so much for the contribution. We appreciate you. Everybody check out Adam's show with our buddy Gabe on the Rutgers channel I always get this mixed up. It's either Monday or Tuesday. Too many shows to keep track of. So again, the Rutgers channel and the Rutgers show with Adam every week. And thank you for the contribution, sir. All right. We, of course, talked about this guy a number of times related to Oregon commit, Oregon flip, and decommit, I should say. And a big splash at that point with Richard Wesley. And now he's on the eyes of Texas.
The eyes of Texas are upon two top guys this weekend in five-star defensive lineman Richard Wellesley, along with five-star tight end Kaydon Finley. These are two guys that definitely been on the market, been on the move, trying to find their home. Richard Wellesley, will he go back to Oregon, like you said, after that flip and that flop? We shall see. He was just he returned back to Oregon for official visit, but this weekend he heads to Austin. So again, another huge weekend for five stars and blue chippers down in Texas, looking to make some segue. Again, this is not just shooting your shot with the top priority guys, but when it comes to elite defensive linemen and elite defensive tight end, the Longhorns are just looking to close the deals. Like we said, when it comes to Wellesley, Oregon still remains in the mix. Georgia is also in the mix as well when it comes to these two. And Prothero will be heading into Georgia, down for another visit. So again, these will be two interesting guys to watch for this weekend as far as Texas is concerned. These are just two names I wanted to watch. It'll be really interesting to see. A part of me feels like Richard Wellesley is just testing the waters, but I think ultimately we'll see Richard Wellesley back at Oregon. I think that he just kind of wants to navigate, kind of make sure that he didn't make the wrong decision. I feel like he's locked in. I think had he not returned to Oregon this past weekend for an official visit, then I would have said something different. But I feel like Richard Wellesley is testing the waters. Not that Texas doesn't have a chance here when it comes to the Longhorns and elite blue chip guys, especially on the defensive line and the development they're known for. They definitely have a chance in this one, but it'll be interesting to see. But this weekend it's about. Last weekend's about shooting your shot, but this weekend it's about closing deals.
Tyler Atkinson is a super athletic 6'2", 210-pound linebacker out of Loganville, Georgia, but he might get away from Kirby Smart.
Yeah, now this is one that everybody has been the $1 million question, where will he end up? But right now it seems like it's going to be a battle in the SEC. I almost said Big 12 and SEC because, like I said, I still can't see Texas in the SEC, but I'll get there. But Tyler Atkinson, the five-star linebacker out of another kid out of Grayson, Georgia, great is just dynamic when it comes to his skill set, is making his way back to Austin. I really believe that this is going to be a Georgia Longhorn fight. Texas has really been pushing for the opportunity for him to be able to play right away. And I think that's why Atkinson remains, even though he's he's the number one in Georgia, number one linebacker, number 9 national. We see it right there. I think the biggest push for him, even though he's a 5-star at other schools and including Georgia, he might not be able to start. Whereas in Texas, they have told him that, with Anthony Hill departing and potentially being a first-round pick, that they are saving a space for Tyler Atkinson to be that next guy up, and definitely have put in there. And another thing to account for is that Tyler Atkinson does, in fact, despite being based in Georgia, does do most of his training out in Texas. So again, the Longhorns have really been in this for the long haul. And I really think that it'll be interesting to see where they land. Of course, he's already taken officials to Georgia, to Oregon, and Clemson. But for me, this one will end up with Georgia and Texas. But again, I think this is another recruitment that even after, if the announcement goes down in the next couple of weeks, that it will be a continued one, especially for the high profiled junior who last year had 77 solo tackles, 32 tackles for losses, 46 hurries, 13 sacks for Grayson, where he helped them finish with a 14-1 record. Again, he's extremely productive when it comes to playing the inside linebacker position, Mark. And I think that he's got an impressive blend of instincts and athleticism that just makes him so appealing. He's a game changer. I think that he's just a linebacker that is streamlined, built with agility and speed. And even though he possesses the frame, he really could still add some weight to him and still be able to have that athleticism, that quickness when it comes to it. Some of his things that really stand out to me watching him, of course, in live reps and in film, has to be, his athletic ability to really locate and hone in on the ball. He's got exceptional field awareness. And I think, again, another thing we talked about when it was a running back position, but, he just has a really strong ability with that start and stop, and he's got an extremely exceptional lateral burst that just makes him one of those top mirror guys in the country. Like I said, we talked a little bit about earlier in the season. I can't think of the recruit that I called to a man in a mirror, but he was out of Florida, and I can't, I have a loss for his name, but Tyler Atkinson is that kid. I mean, he knows how, he's just so in, and he's just one of the another top cover guy that I've seen in this 2026 class. But and when it comes to blitzing, he's just proven that he can be incredibly effective and efficient. And it's really wow to see him, how effortlessly he knows, even in chaos, even in that destruction of trying to separate yourself in that defensive pathway, that he just knows how to slip and dip around blockers, and just really knows how to find his way always to make that way to the quarterback. So again, super lethal, super dangerous, mirror guy, one of the best cover guys that I've seen. But again, like I said, he's just really exceptional when it comes into finding a way to eventually find himself on his target towards a quarterback.